Hey everyone, it's Elizabeth Cheney and welcome to the In Between podcast. We are back with another episode. How's it going? How's your week been? How's your day going? Did your morning go okay? Did you sleep good last night? These are the things I think about. How is everybody listening doing? It's the week of love, Valentine's Day, and we'll talk about all that kind of stuff later. But just want to say happy Valentine's Day. I mean, of course, this episode coming out, it was after Valentine's Day. So hopefully, the one day of year you're allowed to love. I hope you loved fully, boldly, loudly, and unconditionally. I mean, the joke of that is you should love all the time, not just one day of the year. But hey, Hallmark's got to make their money somehow when it's not Christmas season. All jokes aside, I'm not trying to be that cynical. I mean, for me personally, Valentine's Day means lots of red gummies. Okay, for those who don't know, I'm sure I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I do love candy, but it's like the gummy candy, like licorice, like Twizzlers, Fruit Gushers, which isn't really a candy, nor is that something I eat on the reg, but you know what I mean. Red gummies, love it. Red gummy bears, if you will. So around Valentine's Day, all the red candy comes out, which... Let's not even have a discussion about red dye and all of that horrible stuff that's bad for you, but I love it. I'm here for it. So I will hopefully stop eating so much red candy now that Valentine's Day is over. So maybe that's why I'm cynical. I don't know. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed last week's episode with my husband. Always a pleasure having him on the pod, and you'd be surprised how hard it is to book him. Something about he's not a podcaster. I don't know. He's busy. He has his own life. What is this nonsense? But it was a lot of fun. Thanks for the feedback. Hope you all enjoyed. Life has been nonstop since we got back. Work's been crazy just because I'm in the middle of all these different projects that are starting. And starting, as we know, is the hardest part. Not just in your personal goals, but in any kind of goal, project, anything, right? So getting those up and running off their feet's been a little chaotic, a little time consuming, and a little hectic. But hey, we do what we gotta do. Doesn't help that there's like 5 of them starting all at once. But hey, we're boss babes and we have good boundaries in place. And if we need to regulate ourselves and, I don't know, go take a walk or have a cup of joe, well, we do that. So I'm gonna be fine. But nothing like having an amazing vacation and then just coming back and getting your ass handed to you. All good. So that's been fun, busy, hectic, whatever. But hey, we still got a lot of things popping, rocking and rolling with the podcast. Still got a special guest I'm recording with later this week. I got a really cool episode coming out in probably about a month or so, but about career pivoting. And it's going to be a little more focused in on, teachers leaving the teaching profession, looking to transition into corporate America or the tech world. But don't worry if you're not a teacher, this episode's for you because we're going to talk about career pivoting, dealing with that imposter syndrome, all the things that I know we all struggle with, all the in-betweens, right? So really excited about that. I have a professional branding photo shoot coming up. Oh, yeah, I'm really excited about it. I feel like it's going to really put me, I don't know what I was going to say, not on the top because I'm on the top now, baby. But it's going to make me, if anything, make me feel more legitimate. So if anything, it's for me. But hey, isn't that what life is? We're doing it for us. Therefore, we're doing it for us and sometimes it benefits other people, but, we're living life on our terms. But we're still good people. I try to say that. I always, just side note, if you ever want to know what the inside of my brain is like, whenever I say things like, love yourself, be selfish, you love yourself above all else, I don't mean like we're disregarding the rest of the human race. We love ourselves. We put ourselves first because we want the best for ourselves, but we're still a good person. We're still not a dick. And I know there's some gray area there with like people pleasing, whatever, which is another conversation for another day. But just want to preface that. So hopefully y'all didn't think I was some super narcissistic, like love yourself and screw everyone else kind of person. Because if so, that'd be very sad. But I have a suspicion you do not think that about me. So that's great. Glad we got that off the table. So yeah, coming back from vacation. Boom, bap, boom. Everything's crazy, but wow, we do it. Good news with Luna. She's doing great. So very happy, very thankful that we are finally past all of that. I almost said crap, but no pun intended. And for those who don't know or are not caught up or just randomly listening to my podcast, my dog ruptured her anal gland right before we went on our trip to Colorado. And although I now know much more about dog butts than I'd like to say, she's good. She is rocking and rolling. She's doing great. Really great. So really happy to no longer have any more dog drama / spending mad money at the vet, because that shit gets old real quick. Anyways, so branding photo shoot, that's coming up. Excited. Got some looks. I'm trying to find a top for this one look. And not that it needs to be any kind of particular top, just like a basic top. But it's almost like the more simple it needs to be, the more complicated, at least for me, it is to find. I don't know if that's because my style is more bright colors and patterns and fabrics and prints, or I don't know. You start looking at clothing and then everything starts to look the same. You know, like when you're looking at a word and you're using this one word a lot in whatever you're writing, whether it's copy, this or this, a post, a work email, and then you look at it long enough and then you're like, what the hell is that word? I'll give you an example. Today, I made a TikTok post about self-love. I got so hung up on self to the point that I was like, is self even a word? I had to Google it. That's how it be sometimes. Self, S-E-L-F, is that a real word? Am I tripping? Have I just been making up a word my whole life? That, like, I don't know. Does anybody else feel that way? Anyways, I digress. The point being, I've been looking at different clothing items, white, creams, browns, tans, whatever, and those kind of earthy tones. And now they all look the same. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but we will figure it out. I'd love to know where you all shop. So if you have any suggestions, send them my way at in.betweenpod on Instagram. In other news, I was reading one of my mini newsletters I subscribe to. And you know what's funny? Newsletters, is at least these kind of daily newsletters that give you the high points of what's going on in the world or in the marketing world or in the tech world, whatever newsletter you subscribe to. I typically always read them once a week. I will just read all 15 newsletters once a week. It's kind of hysterical. I should probably get better about that, because then I get overwhelmed that I'm not going to be able to read all the newsletters, which I don't know why I hold myself to such pressure over a newsletter, but you never know what information you're going to miss. Which, side note, I should just get rid of that idea, because there will always be information to consume. I mean, hello, look at the World Wide Web, but your homegirl still gets stuck on it. But anyways, I was catching up on my last week's worth of newsletters, and just want to share this with everybody, because I didn't know that this was another thing to yet be concerned about, or to worry about in the darkest hours of your day and the weakest moments of your life. I'm just kidding. I'm being very dramatic with that. But storefront crashes. Yes, this is called the In Between Podcast, and we're talking about storefront crashes. But I just found this one part interesting, but also two part concerning, the numbers here. But the Storefront Safety Council, which is actually a real thing, look it up. I guess they were surveyed for this one piece of this newsletter. So each day, every day, not 2 days a week, each day, 100+ drivers crash into storefronts. Did you know that? That is so concerning. My driving PTSD just got instantly elevated, because I'm like, great, now I have that, not ridiculous, but that highly unlikely event to occur, like a very unlikely event. I now have that to worry and stress about. So love it for me. But what's even more interesting is that they said 16,000 people are injured annually and 2.6 thousand people are killed annually by storefront crashes. So not trying to get negative here, not trying to concern you. You're going to go to the quick trip and you're going to get plowed over by a truck. Hopefully not. I don't think that's going to happen. We're going to manifest that it doesn't. But be careful, because I'm not going to go into all the details of this, but I was reading more inserts and stuff from the actual report. Well, let me first say this. Yes, there is definitely a little bit of those crazy people who are driving road rage and just wilding out. But it seems like a bulk of these, like the majority, over half, more than half, is caused by just negligent driving, like not paying attention. Like you put your car in reverse when you mean to put it in drive or something like that. So everybody listening, please drive safely. Please drive carefully. So because people like me don't want to have to think and worry about you. And I say that for myself too. I'm going to drive carefully. I'm going to drive safely. But PSA, watch out for storefronts. Just watch where you're going, which we should do anyway. But there's that. there's that. And then one other big thing that I want to highlight, show off, brag about, which you might think, why did I not lead with this? But it's because, well, I am me and my brain works a certain way. But we just passed the in-between being technically 1 year old. I'm sure some of you who've been following since I first announced it, which was in May of last year, you're probably thinking, well, it's February, so that's a few months before May, Liz. Do we need to go back to math? No, I did publicly announce in May, but I have been doing this podcast since last February. Even if I just first started by sharing it with my intimate circle, my inner circle, my close friends and family, and then they, trickled it out, spread it a little bit. But for those who have been with me since the very, very beginning, I love you. Hello, we're here. We made it a year. I can't freaking believe it. And for those who are new and listening, you can still go back and listen to those episodes. I'm not gonna lie. They are not near as good as they are now, but hey, you gotta start somewhere. And that's part of the reason why I keep them up, because starting was the freaking hardest part. The absolute hardest part. And I like to keep them there to show the growth. And for anyone else who's wanting to start, whether that's a podcast, their own creative endeavor, business, what the heck ever, you can go back and listen. And it's not that it's bad content. I think it's pretty good. That's why I keep it up still. But you can see how I've grown, and hopefully maybe inspires yourself to not give up on whatever it is that you're dreaming of, thinking of, sitting on, whatever the heck, and pursue it. Because I promise you, starting is the absolute hardest part. So snaps for Liz. I made it a year. The consistency of this thing is the most difficult part of the year. Okay, I don't know why I just broke out into a Christmas song with that, but the consistency, yes, it's hard, but I love it. I love doing it, and I've met so many cool people just in this single year of me putting on episodes. I have met some really cool fans and gotten to, just meet all different people all across the country. And I'm just very, very excited for the year ahead and what's to come even past that. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being on the ride. If you're new, if you're somewhat new, if you've been here 6 months, you've been here the whole year. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. So woohoo! Yes. All right. So let's now talk about, I know that was like a quick transition. I was like, woohoo, yeah, okay, back to business. Sorry about that. She's just really happy. It's the day of love. Well, at least, I say it's the day of love because I'm recording on Valentine's Day, but I know this comes out after Valentine's Day. Anyways, I digress. So now that we have all the updates out of the way, let's talk about love. I thought I'd first start off this episode, or this topic, so to speak, about sharing some highlights of Valentine's Days in the past. And again, I'm going to preface this. Valentine's Day is fine. Like, you love it. If you are really big into it, great. I think it's cute to see all the little kids and their little Valentines. But I don't need a stuffed animal. I definitely don't need some chocolate in a heart-shaped box. I don't even really need roses. You know what I mean? I want cuddles and maybe some foot rubs. But I do have a few. It's really just this one Valentine's Day that I want to share. I don't necessarily have a Valentine's Day horror story. I've never had like a horrible Valentine's Day. Sure, I've been single plenty of them, but whatever. Who cares? I've had, of course, the stereotypical, like, here's some flowers, here's a teddy bear, whatever. But I got a shout out to, I don't want to give him a shout out because screw this guy, but okay, I shouldn't. If this was like forever ago, so obviously I've moved past it and I'm married and I'm happy and whatever, but screw your first love, just breaking your heart and ripping it to 1,000 pieces. But they did pull off an epic Valentine's Day. And also, mind you, this was senior year of high school, so it's been some years, okay? We are well past this, so we are well past this, okay? So senior year of high school, it was my first love, your puppy love, all that fun stuff. And he was very creative. And I wake up to my mom basically telling me to go check the mailbox. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I check my mailbox and he has left a note. And it's basically a hint, a clue. So long story short, this dude sent me on a scavenger hunt through our hometown And there was like 8 different stops. Like I went to Waffle House and like they were like, "Oh, are you Elizabeth?" And there was like a meal waiting for me with like a rose and like another clue. Then I had to go to like Toys R Us and get kites. And they were like at the customer service, "Oh, you're Elizabeth." The kites were there with the rose. I mean, it was, I say this now, like reminisce. I still have all the notes. It's so sweet. So precious and innocent, right? But gosh dang, if he didn't give me the most ultimate, best Valentine's Day ever. I mean, no man has ever come close to replicating the joy and magic of that scavenger hunt, which, don't get me wrong, I've had plenty of joyful, magical moments. But in terms of Valentine's Day charades, Valentine's Day spiels, he hit it out of the park. So we ended up like flying kites and all this stuff. And I guess like I should probably tell you how it ended. So it ended with me coming to this little park that was in his neighborhood, and he was waiting there with a picnic, and yeah, it was fucking cute. But anyways, it was so memorable. And if I have a son one day, I'm going to tell him this shit is cute. Put the thought into it. She'll remember forever. She'll be like 15 years past this date. She'll be married to someone else, happily married, mind you, but she will still remember because it was that special. And it was that special, and that it was that special. So that is the Valentine's Day story I want to share. Again, I don't have any horrible Valentine's Day stories. I mean, of course, we can talk about fuckboys, but that's a whole different conversation, which we're going to talk about today. But what I do want to talk about today in relation to Valentine's Day and love is self-love. I was not going to put out an in-between episode right around Valentine's Day that didn't hit self-love as hard as I'm about to hit it. If there is one pillar, I mean, there's obviously many pillars of the in-between community, but if there is the biggest pillar, like where it all starts, where all the pillars pill from, it is self-love. Because it is the foundation you need to achieve anything in life. And I don't just mean success. It is the foundation you need to get through the shittiest moments of your life, the scariest moments of your life, the unknown moments of your life, the insecure moments of your life, the depressing moments of your life. Well, how can I have self-love if I'm depressed and angry? What I mean that is, if you have self-love, self-respect, if you are so far in the hole, doesn't matter how low, how deep you are, because you'd be surprised. And everyone's lows are different. I want to preface that too. What might be your low will not be the low for somebody else. But when you're in those spaces, those dark moments, those scary moments, those lonely moments, those unsure moments, self-love is the flame, the internal flame, whether it's a flicker, whether it's an ember, it is the flame that will help pull you out of whatever it is you're in. That doesn't necessarily mean it will be the thing that only gets you out by yourself. No, but it will be the thing that makes you go, I'm not okay. And maybe you ask for help, whether that's from a therapist, whether it's from a friend, whether it's from a parent or a loved one, a guardian, a role model, a mentor. Self-love is going to encourage you to get help, to be better, to not accept the conditions that you're currently in that may be negative. So let me ask you this. How many times have you told yourself, I love you today, Valentine's Day, the day after Valentine's Day, whatever, the day after that, any day, every day? Do you tell yourself, I love you? Do you tell yourself, I love these 3 things about me? I love myself a lot, but I don't even do that. And let me tell you something. If I'm not in check with myself, if I'm not feeling good, if I'm not nurturing that sense of self, that sense of self-love, it shows. I'll spiral, I'll get dysregulated. And of course, it's outside factors that could be contributing to that, but it's because I'm not taking care of me. But like I said, self-love's the thing that pulls you out of it. Eventually I'll come to. It happened to me literally like last week and a half. I've been a little off the past few months. Not like depressed. I mean, I've talked about it on the podcast, but I've just been really low and kind of emotionally dysregulated. And last week, I kind of finally had this moment with myself, and I'm kind of shortchanging this. Going on the trip definitely helped. But I had this moment where I was like, why am I suffering? Like, why am I not happy? Why am I putting all this pressure on myself for this thing? Why am I putting all my worth and attaching it to this thing that isn't even a real substance, right? It's not even it's a material thing. Those kind of questions, that kind of self-awareness, you get that from self-love. Because let me tell you something. It is not natural, nor should you be okay with feeling insecure or feeling negative or feeling that you're less than. So self-love is super important. The most important thing. It's not that I'm saying you don't love your family, you don't love your partner, you don't love your child, your dog, whatever. No. Of course you love those things, but you got to love yourself first. Because if you're not good, how do you expect those other things to play out? How do you expect those other relationships to work out? I'm sure you've seen it. If not, I'll be the one to remind you. There are plenty of posts and memes and things on the internet. Memes probably not the right word here, but you know what I mean. Prompts, posts, whatever. Social media content that share and say the relationship you have with yourself is the most important one because it will also dictate the rest of your relationships. You find yourself in a routine a habit of toxic relationships, unhealthy relationships, whether that's with the natural partner in a romantic sense or even maybe with friends or associates, things like that. If you don't love yourself, how do you expect to receive the love you want in return? That's what that means. That's how self-love tethers and tangles into all those other things. Yes, loving your partner is important. Yes, loving your family is important. Yes, loving your child and your dog and your friends. All of that's important. But it's only as important as much as you love yourself. Because if you respect yourself, love yourself, you will get that in return. And if not necessarily, like, we're all growing, we're all on this path, this crazy thing called life, okay? So if you're okay, maybe they may not be okay, but you can help them be better too. You can help them give you what you need in terms of communication or needs or friggin' love languages for all I know. So self-love is the most important love. However, it sure is freaking hard as hell to accept. In my opinion, I feel like once you realize or have that moment or have that realization really of I love myself, whoa, that this is what it means. Whether that's you went through hell and back and now you're resilient as shit and you're like, damn, I did that. Look at what I did. Look at how far I've come. Or whatever life thing happened to make you realize you love yourself. Or you were raised in a healthy family that told you were amazing and taught you how to love and appreciate yourself. I'm very, very blessed and grateful that my mother is the freaking angel, butterfly, goddess, unicorn that she is because she taught me that I was wonderful and amazing. Maybe we didn't have all the things growing up, but damn if I didn't have self-worth and a mama who loved me. So how do you love yourself if you're not sure how? If you're not sure if you are? I know that's a loaded question, and I know I'm not a therapist, and I could just talk about this subject. But I think one of the first ways, the first things to ask yourself, if you want to start this path, which you better start this path of loving yourself, is to check in and just see where you are mentally. Are you happy? Are you insecure? Are you spiraling? Do you have more negative days than positive days? And those negative days can be cry, tear-filled days. They can be angry, me against the world days, insecure days. Anything that makes you personally, individually feel less than. You're less than a person, whether that's less than 20%, 50%, whatever. Wherever the line is drawn. If you feel that way, ask yourself, why do I feel this way? And I'm sure you can come up with 50 million things to pick yourself apart. Well, I'm not this. Well, I'm not that. I'm not smart enough. I didn't go to the right school. I didn't start my job the right way. I got a late start. All those things don't matter. One, because we're all struggling with imposter syndrome. So if you're feeling negative with imposter syndrome, if that's where your lack of self-love's coming from, I want you to know, literally, every single person, even the 1%, I'm sure of it, which screw them, but still 1%, they struggle with that. You would be shocked by the buffers that you get from what's really just insecurity being projected onto you. So when someone makes you feel like shit or some other thing makes you feel less than, 95% sure, chances are they're projecting. So nothing, no materialistic thing, no human being should ever, ever define your worth but you. And I'm going to tell you right now that you are freaking amazing. You are fabulous. You deserve the self-love. That's not to say that you don't have things you need to work on. We all have things we need to work on. I mean, shoot, I have a to-do list that probably has the same 3 things on it each week that I just cannot bring myself to do. It's not that they're super difficult. It's just I need to do them and I'm like, I can't. We all have things we have to work on. I've been struggling the past 2.5 months and I'm finally like, oh, hell yeah, I'm the shit. How did I forget that? It happens. But that self-love is what got me back there. My self-love is what didn't make me give up on like finding that happiness, getting back to that positive place, shutting the shit that was just really bringing me down and holding me back. And because when you get stuck in those cycles and those spirals, man, you'd be shocked where you just start tying your worth to. And then before you realize it, you're beating yourself up. So this Valentine's Day, week, whatever, and really any day of the year, any week of the year, any month of the year, years, whatever to come, I want you to love yourself. If you're not sure how, first start with checking in and seeing what is making you feel negative, what is making you feel less than. Is it somebody? Well, I'm sure they're projecting. Your worth is not defined by somebody else. Your worth is defined by you. With self-love comes self-awareness too. So the more you work on this, the more you try to kind of walk back what is causing these emotions, what's making me feel this way, you'll start to, that's where those thoughts are, oh, maybe I should work on this about myself. It may seem a little crazy, like talking to yourself in your head, so to speak, but you're really just kind of processing the information. Sometimes I literally think of my brain as like a filing system, and it helps, especially when it's a little chaotic and I have too many things going on and I feel a little stretched thin, which I'm sure we all know what that feels like. So with self-love comes self-awareness. So you start to kind of, like I was saying, piece together where the emotions, where it's coming from, what is causing the spiral, what is causing the insecurity. For me, like the biggest thing that was holding me back or making me spiral was I was tying my worth into how much money I was making. I mean, the job I work, I love my team. But I'm not really paid the best, but there's a lot of flexibility. There's different perks that come with that. But regardless, I got in such a bad spiral and flow of things. I was in this place where I was tying all my worth to the money I was making. And with that, I was ignoring everything else good that I was doing, everything else good in my life. But the self-love, the self-awareness, that is what made me go, wait a second, why am I having anxiety attacks every week? Mental breakdowns, mentee bees, baby girls. Like, why am I having these? And slowly but surely, I figured it out. I was tying my worth into how much money I made. And it's not like I make any money with the podcast yet. It's going to happen. Don't you worry. But it's imposter syndrome. Trying to get this brand, this podcast up and running, get it going, get followers, doing this all on my own. I was ignoring all the badass shit that I do with the podcast. The fact that I do this all on my own. The fact that I put out fire content every week by myself, edit everything. I have great friendships. I keep up with my friends. I have a great relationship with my family. I do good with my job. I have all these goals. I'm very driven, but it's like all these amazing positive things were completely ignored because I had all my worth tied into the actual salary I was making in my job. But once I released that, oh my God, I'm at such peace. And then let me tell you this. All of these incredible, creative, artistic ideas have been flooding my mind that I can't stop writing them down. Other little ways to make money, this and this. But once I released that hold, that my worth tied to my money from myself, it came. And the way I got to that realization of, okay, I'm negative. What is causing all this? I am not here for this negative spiral that I'm feeling twice a week at this point. It was the self-love. Because I had enough respect for myself to realize or to remember or to remind myself, okay, wait a second. You're pretty fabulous, Elizabeth. But that's not really matching the mood we've been feeling the past few months. That is what self-love can do for you. I know that I can't go into a huge spiel as much as I'd love to do in a 30 to 45 minute podcast episode. But I hope, if anything, this has helped inspire you or prompted you to look inward a little bit and to realize you are so incredible. You are so worthy of love from everybody, but most importantly, yourself. And once you find that, I don't care. It doesn't matter how small, it doesn't matter how big, but once you find it, it will grow and it'll become bigger and more a piece of you, and things will get better because you will know how to handle when the shit hits the fan. You will know how to manage that imposter syndrome because as much as we hate that bitch, she's still going to be there. And, sometimes it helps drive us in a weird way. But I promise you are so incredible. And I know I don't know you, but I promise you are worth it. I don't even have to know you to know that. So love your love. Love your lovers, love your kitties, love your friends, love your family, love your partner, love your pets, love everything. But love yourself most importantly. That's my Valentine's wish for you. Because if you can do that, the world is literally your oyster. I promise. All right, well, man. I felt kind of in the zone with that. I hope you all enjoyed today's message. If you enjoyed it, please go rate, like, subscribe, follow all the things in all the platforms. I'm also going to put this on YouTube because apparently YouTube is like the place to be. Even if you don't have a visual like film recording, it's just audio. So guess what? This episode's on YouTube. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. It's on all the places you can listen. But more importantly, thank you for a year of listening to The In-Between. Thank you for choosing me to spend your 30 minutes to an hour with each week. It means so much to me because I know how precious time is. I know there's never enough of it. At least that's what it seems like. So the fact that you choose to listen to me, that is the greatest honor that I could ever ask. So I appreciate it. Here's to an even brighter 2023 of us all loving ourselves. I can't wait to see what you all accomplish with this newfound wisdom. It's going to be fabulous. I mean, we're going to be an army of self-love advocates who are just honestly going to take over the world and maybe bash capitalism while we're at it. Just kidding. Hallmark, we need you. But without further ado, thank you all so much. If you want to follow me or you aren't doing so already, you can check me out on Instagram at in.betweenpod and on TikTok at the In-Between Podcast. I hope you all have a wonderful, safe rest of your day, rest of your week. Get excited for content to come from the In-Between. And I'll see you all on the podcast next Wednesday. Thank you for listening to the In-Between. I'm Elizabeth. See ya.